Next up here on the Fantasy Flex is our Elite Entry segment, where I dive into the PrizePicks app to build some entries. I'll identify some markets I like, you build your own PrizePicks entries, and all of us have a little fun and make some money. So today I'm going to look at 4 Week 11 quarterback plays on PrizePicks. The first play I like is Mac Jones under 230.5 passing yards on the road versus the Falcons. Death, taxes, and Mac Jones unders. We are now on week 4 of hitting these unders, so I'm going to keep it rolling against the Falcons, which may seem weird given how exploitable and exposed this Falcons defense has looked. The thing is, even in games where the Patriots tack on a ton of points, Jones just doesn't put up a lot of yards. This is a low volume offense. Week 7, the Patriots scored 54 points against the Jets, and Jones had 217 yards. Week 10, the Patriots scored 45 points, and Jones had just 198 yards. I think they'll handle this Falcons team pretty easily, and I think they're going to lean on this run game, which has looked super strong even without Damian Harris there. Ramondre Stevenson had a great breakout game, 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So this is also a Thursday night game, so I really, really like the under on the passing yards for Jones. The next play I like is Tua Tagovailoa over 220.5 passing yards on the road versus the Jets. What an odd situation last week that Tua, who is dealing with a finger injury, is healthy enough to dress, but not healthy enough to start. And then he actually is healthy enough to sub in for Jacoby Brissett. And after he came in for Brissett, he completed 8 of 13 attempts for 158 yards and tacked on a rushing touchdown. He has been named the starter this week as of Monday, and that would seem to indicate that his finger is healed. And he gets a great matchup against the Jets this week, who are allowing 283 passing yards per game, which ranks second worst in the NFL. So I like him to go over there. Another play that I like is a Justin Fields over 179.5 passing yards at home versus the Ravens. I get it. We don't love Fields as a passer, but he did post 2 of his best games to date in weeks 8 and 9. He tossed multiple touchdowns in week 8 against the 49ers for the first time this year and broke 100 rushing yards in that game. And then in week 9, he posted a career high 291 passing yards against the Steelers. He's going to be well rested coming off of the Bears' week 10 bye to face the Ravens defense, which has allowed an NFL high 283.5 passing yards per game. So I love Fields to go over this paltry number. The final play that I like is Taylor Heinicke under 245.5 passing yards on the road versus Carolina. Heinicke and the Washington football team entered the week as double-digit dogs and were very impressive against the Buccaneers. Heinicke completed 26 of 32 attempts for 256 yards and a touchdown and tacked on 3 rushes for 15 yards. That said, Tampa's secondary ranks near the bottom of the NFL, and he gets a matchup on the polar opposite end of the spectrum against Carolina this week, who are allowing an NFL best 174 passing yards per game. So their secondary has been just ridiculous. I know Stephon Gilmore is a little banged up, but he could still play in this game. So I think that Heinicke will struggle in this tough matchup. All right, that is our elite entry for today, going with Mac Jones under 230.5 passing yards on the road versus the Falcons. Tua Tagovailoa over 220.5 passing yards on the road versus the Jets. Justin Fields over 179.5 passing yards versus the Ravens, and Taylor Heinicke under 245.5 passing yards on the road versus Carolina. As a reminder, you can mix and match fantasy points and player props to make your lineups super spicy. Also, PrizePicks markets move, so you will want to be nimble to lock in the best numbers and make your picks as soon as possible. If you haven't created a PrizePicks account yet, please check out the link in our episode description because PrizePicks has a special offer for Fantasy Flex listeners. They will match your first deposit up to $100. Just click the link in our episode description or visit prizepicks.com and use promo code ACTION10.